Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Clinic Gym Radio. I am your host, Dr. Josh Satterley, and it's my pleasure today to be joined by Dr. Jimmy Yuan. Jimmy, what's up?
What's going on, my man?
Hey man, it's good to hear you, good to see you. Everything's good in the hood. So Jimmy, can you give those listeners a little idea of who you are, what you do, and what you're known for?
What I'm known for is a totally different thing. I mean, that's that one night in Vegas we had, right, Josh? But I'm a chiropractor and acupuncturist based out in Phoenix, Arizona. Kind of run a clinic, if you want to call it. It's an eclectic mix of movement and fitness and strength, and just really kind of an eclectic integrative model based on the FMS model, where we really use the assessment to guide us in what is necessary to short track it.
Perfect. All right. And how long have you been in practice?
Been in practice since 2002. So it's been a while.
Yeah, man. Can you believe that's been 16 years? It's crazy.
The age of the Scantrons. That's how we did.
There's some kid that was born the year that you went into practice, and he's now driving, just to put it in perspective.
Yeah, he's probably driving a better car than us.
Well, Jimmy, I've always loved, you're like, for a long time, you were my fellow chiro, going out on the road teaching SFMA, right? It was
Yes,
there were a lot of PTs and whatnot, but we showed them what's up. We let them know how it was going to be.
Yeah.
But I know that you kind of run two separate little practices. I don't want to say little, but two separate practices within the Phoenix area. Can you go over kind of the idea, the logistically how each one works?
I have two facilities. Kind of the one in Phoenix, call it Phoenix proper. It's kind of where I started when I opened up my own office, and like all kind of new businesses, because I was an associate doc for a little bit, and I decided to open it up. And the model that I really wanted to open up was integrating a much more, in my opinion, a much more complete finish line, where I can integrate even into the wellness, into the fitness aspect of things. And at the time, I also just recently, about 2009 is when I completed my RKC, and really got into the movement and really started understanding, or I don't say understanding, but beginning to really live the life of meeting Gray, Cook, and all the guys and my teachers and influences. And then that's how I started. And I built it with low overhead. That was the concept, because of when you start a business, that's one of your biggest fears. And also wanted to make it highly profitable. I mean, there's a piece of, hey, you got to have low overhead.
Things go well together, by the way.
Yeah. So I had a simple room, and I had one room, and the easiest thing I could do is not have a lot of machines. So I really built it based on bands, based it on kettlebells, and based it on a lot of body weight things, and it began the concept. I think we use that, and I think everyone does it to an extent of trying to bridge the gap into what people have for a fitness model. Because that's always been my passion. I'm just an active guy. I enjoy doing things, and the finish line for me was always my activity on the weekend. What was I going to do? How could I do it and not have to feel like I'm 90 after I'm done playing? And then what happened was that in my Scottsdale facility, I met a trainer by the name of Spencer Tatum. I was teaching a course at TPI, Titleist Performance Institute, and he was one of the students. And he was, really kind of, for all the trainers out there, it's one of the things, introduce yourself in a way that just makes people want to hang out with you, instead of just telling him why you're so cool. And you'd be surprised at, a friendship. And he's a friend of mine, a dear friend of mine. And he was just like, hey, how busy are you? How do you, what do you see? And we started talking, and, eventually he started opening up a gym facility. And he liked my kind of, spin on things, and how I would go, okay, we need you to do this. And my facility was too small, because at some point in time, I needed to have some barbells. I needed to have a bike. I needed some things to help, because it's not what I want for people. It's what they need and they want. And I've got to help them. I'm just a liaison and trying to help them get there. So as a result, when he opened up Advantage Training of a facility up in Scottsdale, he brought me along, and I'm kind of the medical guy on the background saying, hey, here's what's happening with so-and-so. But their goals are this. I mean, that's the important thing. It's the client's goal for them that I'm trying to achieve. And I may walk the floor and go, hey, here's the issue. You have something going on with your hip. We're working on this, or we have a retroverted hip. This is what it looks like, but we're going to hurt yourself. So we're going to try to change that. And so it's my job to kind of walk the floor and make sure everything's are as clean as I can have medically without divulging anything, because I'm on a gym floor. I can't really kind of say anything. So that's kind of how the two. And I bounce back between, my baby, my original office, 3 days a week, and I bounce up there, and then 2 days a week, we kind of collaborate.
So in a nutshell, basically you have essentially a small office in a traditional like medical plaza, just a normal office building office, right?
Yeah.
That you certainly treat people and then recommend where they go. And then up at Advantage, you have a private office within a larger gym.
Yes, that is correct.
Perfect. All right. And what kind of as far as the treatment goes, I know that you've wedged everything you can into your Phoenix office, but it's an office space. So the ceilings aren't super high. The, walls aren't really wide apart. What kind of treatment or training options does the gym setup allow you to gain?
Well, the gym setup allows me, it's first of all, foremost, it gives me so much more peace of mind that we all speak the same language. And I think that's the lines of communication, I think, are actually one of our biggest strengths. That, we have all this email and these text apps and ways to do that. But what's great is that the trainers on the floor can literally walk into my office, say, here's what I'm thinking, here's the problem. Or I can go and say, hey, I know you're working with so-and-so. We just found something here. We need to be considerate of that and make sure that this was the goal, but we may have to kind of make an audible call on this one because for a while. So the biggest luxury we have is that it's a communication piece that we have a chance to really, and of course we all speak the same language. It isn't like I'm talking this way in this kind of, and I'm going to use FMS as a framework. I say, hey, it's a 2-1 ASLR. They don't look at me like, what does that mean? We do speak the language, and therefore it makes it easier. So that's number one. Number two, the space. The space allows for us to do much more creative things. It allows for crawling exercises. It allows for, because of the space, easier lateralizations, as Charlie Weingraf would call it, in an exercise progression. Airdyne bikes, we have, med ball throws, we have all the things that we want to try to, kind of top tier a little bit of the power and stuff that we're working on. And it also does a lot of we've got some members working together. There is the energy of it, and I get the memes of, hey man, no one's going to motivate you unless you motivate yourself. But sociologically speaking, when my buddy's out there and I'm having fun with him, I kind of have a better workout. You walk out feeling better than you walked in. Hey, we did our job that day. Yeah,
as our friend Tom Plummer says, the research says 96% of people like to work out in groups, and the other 4% of people are just weird. So yeah. So there's a time to be alone too. I get it. Sometimes we've all had it. Hey, I've just learned something. I need to let it really marinate in my head for a second. But yeah. Now you also, I know that you work with a lot of super high-end professional athletes and sports ranging from golf all the way to WWE.
Street luge. No.
There you go. Yeah. And the advantage, I think, of being able to see those people once you're done with treatment, the double check process of putting them under some serious load to make sure, is that problem really gone or is it just hiding?
Yeah. And it gives me a chance to do that. And sometimes some of the things that folks will come in and says, hey, I hurt myself squatting. Yeah, we got the problem, corrected, medically speaking. And I'm going to take a look. Let's take a look how you squat. Maybe it's, it's just, you don't know how to do it correctly. And that may be it's a skill thing. It's not like you're wrong. You're just using it wrong. And that's, wrong club for the wrong problem.
There you go. Yeah. And when you're working in the gym setting, how long, just so people can kind of understand, if it's a traditional, how do I ask this? So let's not include the professionals and the super high-end athletes in this, but just the kind of bread and butter gym member patient. How long are you spending in the private office versus out on the floor in a single visit?
In a single visit, I'm about 30 minutes for each person. And that's just with me medically speaking. Coming in.
And will that all be in your office, or will you get out on the floor?
Yeah, in my room. Every once in a while, I'll have to go on the floor. For example, if I'm doing an exercise and I need more room for that person, or if I want to demo it, or I want to have some space to cue, I'll just bring them out onto the floor and we'll take a look at that. Or if it's something that I'm going to use to have somebody kind of, for example, a rolling pattern, I want to have them have the open space to do stuff. Or if I want to take a look how their wrists are moving. So it depends, but usually it's in my office. When I'm out on the gym floor, it really depends on, what I see. I may go to the bathroom, and as I'm on the way to the restroom, I spot one of my guys. I stop, I take a look, I look at the way we have it. It's very easy. Communication's awesome because the guys can tell me at advantage what they're planning on doing, and I can give them that. But also the way we have it in our office in the gym is each person's workout is actually posted on video, on a video screen. So this way, as I'm walking across, I can actually go, oh, and I'm just using a name, Joe Smith, very kind of just random name, right? No
HIPAA compliant name.
Yeah, we are, right? Yeah. So you walk across Joe Smith, I take a look. Hey, I just saw him 3 days ago, and he's now training. I could walk across. If the trainer's engaging somebody, I look up at the screen going, oh, okay, boom, he's doing a half kneel, and he's got this, got it, okay. Hey, you know what? Remember I talked to you last week, get that foot, and it's a quick little screen across. So the way it's done at Advantage, you'll actually see, even though the trainer is working through it, so the person can go to the next station and do what they need to do. They actually have their kind of template of what's happening.
Yeah, I will say after touring Advantage, Spencer did an absolutely incredible job with layout and thinking things through. A couple things, we had the MyZone system and we're like, oh, we'll just buy a flat screen, put it up on the wall. The problem with using a flat screen on the wall is now that wall can't have medicine balls thrown at it. You know?
Yeah.
And instead he said, well, forget that. Let's do an overhead projector projecting on the wall. Yep. And I think fantastic, because you can throw the ball right into where your heart rate is.
Yes.
And there's no loss of space there. And then also how he has, three pods essentially of a complete workout station times 3.
Yep. By Life Fitness, the guys did a great job. And literally we went through kind of the spacing and the kind of concept, and Mark Berry worked just magic. I mean, the guy just worked magic and making sure it was, it's like, you look at the equipment, it's durable, it's clean. The
place is spotless. It's organized. Yeah. When you walk in there, you have the sense this is a high-end gym. Everything about this is high-end. The location, the equipment, it just reflects
like Bloody Mary and mimosa bar. We've got it set up.
Right. Yeah. Just the necessities really, nothing crazy, but yeah. I love that gym. If you guys ever get a chance and you can sweet talk Spencer into doing it, tour that facility, because how big is it? It's not that big. It's
if memory serves me correct, it's about 2,500 square feet.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, 2,500 square feet.
And that includes your private office and a private office for the trainers, and then.
The office for the trainers, we have an outdoor little seating area. Most of the time, we have these roving standing desks for the trainers, and
that's another thing that I was impressed with. I'm like, do you have a little workstation right here where these guys can actually put it together?
Yeah, they have a Advantage Training, because when I say it's not like we're completely separate, but they're definitely a separate business entity. Mm-hmm. They have a separate office, but on the floor we have a roving desk that is stand-upable, so everyone has their computer, can take a look, and if something needs to be changed on the program, it's changed into the computer, and then it's directly uploaded right away. So it's done real time, because reality of it is that we may have some great plans, and so-and-so rolled their ankle this weekend. And now it's like, well, we're going to do some, high skips, but guy rolled his ankle. Let's change it, and we have to change it right there, but also make it so that the person doesn't read it and go, oh, let's just go. No.
You're reminding me too. What is that program that he has when you check in? Is it a weigh-in program or something for the?
Yeah, I believe it's an InBody. We use if memory serves me correct, there's a couple, everybody has an InBody in their thing. It's an InBody, and just, it's a simple check-in, and just gives us, it gives us a baseline, it gives us a baseline, also gives Advantage a way to take a look and see, how can they help? And is the plan that they thought working? Is it going to work? And
even if it's not a fantastic test. Any test that's just repeated consistently inherently gets more accurate.
The consistency is what we're looking at. And, we could debate its accuracy because everyone's going to have different systems, but at least the precision is what we're looking for, that if it's hitting the same target all the time and we have a barometer, and we don't use that only, we use the FMS system. We use the TPI system. We use the FCS. We use the Y balance. We use a lot of different metrics to try to do that.
Yeah. I just like how the client comes in, they get on it's a like body fat scale, hydration level. They type in their little code, right? And then it just kind of gives them that daily report of how you doing. Yeah. That's super slick. Spencer's really thought things out. So anyways, so what kind of in that model, when you can integrate well with the gym side, can you give some people some idea of, what does a care plan look like and how does it end? Because I think a lot of people are, in this idea of the traditional office where you treat people 8 times and then you kind of send them, hey, go work out, right?
Yep.
But in yours, I love your transition component. Can you give some people some insight into that?
So it depends on which hat I'm wearing, but on the most of the days that I'm wearing the hat, I'm the hat of a medical provider. Mm-hmm. So when somebody enters, number one, and it's, I want to talk about assessment, all that stuff, but really I'm talking to the person. I'm trying to figure out what happened, and it's an interview for me to understand what happened and what this type of person is and what their goals are. So it gives me a little way of softly goal setting. But from a physical assessment point, you do our classic ortho neuro stuff. Look at the chief complaint. Guys actually got to look at the thing that they're there. And then I use the SFMA as a baseline model, using the top tier. And what I call clear out as much of the top tier as possible. Maybe somebody has something surgical that's unclearable. So therefore it's, when we say everyone has to be functional normal, well, if you have a shoulder that's actually has metal rod, has been stapled down, and you may never be it.
You fused a couple vertebrae. It's never going to
so you may never have that, but do the best of my ability. And once we get to the point where we have whatever the chief complaint is, because that's important for them too. I want that person to feel better of what they came in for. And number 2 is take a look at what I want them to have, right? It's a two-way street. I want you to get what you want, but I also want you to get what I feel you need, which will be the SFMA and clearing out the top tier again. Mm-hmm. Once it's solid, they actually just transfer them. Usually, some folks can do the FMS. The FMS is what we use in Advantage when I send them out there as their way to bridge that gap, because so once they step onto the FMS platform, and they'll go do the movements, and then they'll go, hey, there are no zeros. We may have a couple of asymmetries. They may come back and say, hey, what's up? What do you think? What do you have in your plan? What was happening? So we begin that gap. So for me, exit-wise in that situation, it's the SFMA top tier again to bridge them into the FMS.
So that's the mutual starting point for the trainers, and the ending point doesn't really end, but the ending point for you. So you have that mutual language, mutual operating system to say this works, that doesn't.
Yes.
Are you a chiropractor or physical therapist working long hours, worrying about lower repayments and missing out on quality time with your family? You can double your income without working more hours by adding a gym to your practice. Clinic Gym Hybrid Solutions has a step-by-step guide that dramatically simplifies and speeds up the addition of a fitness center and its monthly recurring revenue. In just 6 months, you can be on your way to freedom. Visit clinicgymhybrid.com today for a free downloadable PDF and complimentary consultation to get you started. That's clinicgymhybrid.com.
For those of you out there listening that have not taken the SFMA, Jimmy and I don't want to speak for you, Jim, but the number one thing that you get out of it, besides just a consistent, repeatable examination, is the freaking language barrier just drops to zero with anybody else who's trained in that system. And you don't know how big of a deal that is. I heard this joke one time from a Air Force colonel that was in my office. He said, the word he said, the biggest problem we have in the military is the same word can mean different things to different people. He goes, you tell the Marine Corps, secure that building, and they're going to send, 400 guys running at it and get into hand-to-hand combat. Whereas you tell the Air Force, secure that building, we're going to go online, search on the internet for who's the owner of record and negotiate a deal with them and own it by the morning.
There's also just the efficiency of it. There's the elegance in how you can paint a picture with just, hey, DN, DN, FN, DN, DN, PN. And you as a person go, all right, I got a picture of what's happening. In your brain, or walking across the floor. Hey, here, their twos across, but they're a 1-1 on their trunk stability push-up, a TSPU. We can use that. And it's like, got it. I can paint a picture without actually seeing the person, and it's done very quickly.
Yeah, which that efficiency is awesome. And I always tell people in the gym, when you have an attached gym, and I think Advantage falls into this boat, what you're selling is not the equipment. I mean, you guys have the most beautiful Life Fitness equipment, but anybody can purchase that.
Yep.
You have beautiful turf. Anybody can purchase that. Anybody can purchase all these tools, but the big difference is when you sell expertise.
Yes.
That's what gets people coming back.
Yep.
Yeah. Do you see that with the clientele that you guys have there?
Yeah, they love it. They like knowing that if I walk across and they go, hey, or if it's not even a client of mine and the trainers have a question and they go, hey, what's up? And I could just say, hey, I don't know the whole history, but based on what I'm seeing, this is what probably are some of the deficits or some of the things that I have. So it gives me a chance to also meet new people. So it's fun. It's a fun experience.
Awesome. Now I know you're a huge fan of kettlebells and the RKC and SFG, and you're instructor for 18 different 3-letter acronym companies. If you were to kind of give a roadmap to people, if they're like, hey, I want to get more involved they're a chiropractor, they want to get more involved into the active components of care, even to the point where they're maybe operating in a gym or operating a gym that they own, not necessarily doing the training, but they have that common language. Do you have a few suggestions for maybe courses or pathways to take to allow that to start opening up?
Do you mean like, hey, what do they just have to take, like courses and stuff like that?
We can start there. I mean, the journey's never done, right? So
I think that, the first thing I would say, and it sounds like a weird question, because I've had folks ask me that, and I asked them, do you really want to do this? It's not an indictment on you if you don't want to merge fitness with medical. I don't agree with it, okay, because I think that it should go that way. But if you just want to focus on pediatrics, and you want to focus on specific, pediatric neurology issues, and that's where you want to do it, then you don't ask me that question, because that's not my expertise. But I think some of the, and I'll say this, it is profitable, but at the same time, you're going to have to work really hard, and you're going to have to be willing to be frustrated. When we play a game that we love, we're okay with the frustration when we don't win the game, because we can learn the rules. But if you're not going to go and look yourself in the mirror and say, do I really want to do this because I like it and I have a passion for it, then think about what you have first before we go into that question. So that's kind of like the first thing I'd say. I can't tell what somebody would do. I could just tell them my journey. That's the one. And my journey is that once I started getting involved in how I got it, it's just straight truth. People go, hey, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, listen, I wanted to do the kettlebell thing because it freaking looked cool. That's all it was. And I'm not lying. Yeah, I had injuries and do all that, but I could have, I was trying to find other ways to do this. And I saw this thing and I'm like, dude, that thing looks cool. And I couldn't do it. So it was cool. I couldn't do it. And I wanted to be able to do it. And that's kind of where the journey really started. And then along the way, because it's really what it is. It's I have no problems in just telling the truth about it. I started to learn some things. And as I started to learn some things, it made this cool thing more robust behind it. It was like, oh, so the cool car that I wanted to buy actually has an awesome engine. And how do you make this engine? So it really became that piece. So my journey, and people have seen it and heard it. It's, I was the guy who failed every test on my first TPI screen when I took the course. And back in the day, it was not as kind and as gentle as it is now. You were the guy who sucked the most, and you would have to go and do it in front of colleagues to take a look at it. And Greg Rose, all right, who's the word? Freaking Jimmy. Here you go again, freaking Jimmy. And it became me. So that was kind of the eye awakening piece of it. And slowly it was a game, and it was also pride. I have no qualms about saying that. It was ego. Okay. My ego drove me to be better because my movement sucked so bad. My ego could drag me to just say, screw you. But I really kind of jumped in that. So I think that we've mentioned it already a few times, the FMS and the SFMA. and the FCS, the whole FMS, the functional movement system. People think it's only the screen. You know, they see the 7 steps, the board, the kit, and walking out through there. That's only one component of it. It's a lot more robust than people realize. There's other pieces to it.
What order did you take them in, just out of curiosity?
I actually took it kind of in a very odd order. I took the TPI course, then I took the TPI level 2 medical, and at the time it was just the beginning of the formal beginning of the SFMA. Then I took the SFMA just alone. Then I took the SFMA 2. Then I wound up taking my goal for the FMS. The cool factor was the kettlebell. At the time, we had this CKFMS program. In order to be able to do that, you actually had to be a level 1 level 1 kettlebell instructor. So I had to get that in order to take the CKFMS. And then that's kind of the order. Everything else just kind of added pieces together. And then after that, I decided to formally take just the FMS components. Mm-hmm. It's amazing how sometimes when you retake something, your eyes open like, wow, you know, holy cow. And along the way, I made some great friends. You make some great friends, and you start going, and they start telling you, you know, you have fun. And then all of a sudden, sometimes you get what I call these vignette moments where it's like, hey, so-and-so learned this. I'm like, hey, that sounds like an answer, a solution, or I need to have that puzzle, you know, that Lego piece I want. And I want to learn how to get that Lego piece. And so that's kind of how it evolved. I've taken some other courses along the way, like DNS. Recently, I usually try to add at least one thing to my tool bag per year, just because I think that it just makes my practice more fun for me. And I'm all about having fun in your practice. Figure it out how to make yourself have fun, because I guarantee you, your patients will like it. Your patients will benefit when you have fun. And I wound up adding the pieces of Eldella, the Guy Voyer school, and just added pieces. I had a chance to work with Michael Shacklock and Neurodynamic Solutions. So little pieces along the way of people that are good friends that really did give me good opinions. And we kind of had a similar language to go say, hey, this was a great solution that you probably want to go, or, hey, I like what you wrote on Instagram. You know, I've even said that, hey, that's pretty cool. He's like, actually, I got that while I took this. Got it. I need to go look a little bit more. So there's a lot of different courses out there that you can jump through. I think as you jump through one, you actually will kind of find your own little path.
I think it'd be cool one day if you sat down with some of the smart people that you know, because I know that you hang around some smart folks, and I think organizing it almost like a bullseye too.
Yep.
Because I think people take a lot of things and they don't realize that they don't really have that core.
Yep.
And they don't know where to plug in these new things in the system. Yep. Like Shacklock's things, I've heard amazing things about that. I have yet to take it. You know, when people take it, it's for a specific type of issue. Yep. And an advantage would be to learn, where does that live in my system of treatment?
Yep. And full disclosure on that one, I took the course, same thing, and I thought it was for a specific issue. Uh-huh. And then once I took the course, it actually became, oh, now I understand that it's not only for this. I can use it for a lot more things.
There's my ignorance. I shouldn't be talking about a course I haven't taken, because you never know.
Yeah,
you know?
And that happens all the time. It's like, well, why would you do that? Well, maybe you don't realize that that's the reason why. And there's, so. I
just heard from a very prominent course instructor. I said, have you taken the SFMA yet? And he said, no, I don't understand. How come you guys don't teach really good adjustments in there? I was like, well, it's a diagnostic course only.
Yep.
No, yeah. You teach treatments. I'm like, no, we don't. And he's like, yeah, you do. I've heard that. I'm like, no, we don't. And you teach adjusting. I would love to pick your brain and see what you do when you find these different restrictions and whatnot, you know? And so you just never know what you're going to get out of a course. And I would say I've never taken a course where I didn't get something out of it. Yeah. There's a course I took. I did not enjoy any minute of it, but I would tell you that I definitely got something out of it.
Yeah. And you may learn something. I've taken some courses that I absolutely hated, and it was miserable. And we forget that not everything has to be a piece of knowledge when we take a course. It could be a course in just understanding customer service. I hate the course. I'm not going to say anything about it in public, meaning like I'm not going to give a name, but I disenjoyed the way they handled customer service so much that I knew that my clinic, that's never how we're going to handle it.
Right.
So there's even softer lessons even been taking a course.
Oh, Jimmy, you Asian little philosopher, you.
Yeah.
Yeah, just bringing out the knowledge from every little lotus flower of education, huh?
Well, it's a brain dump right now, right? That's all I got. I'm out. Mic drop. See you guys.
Nice. Well, last thing on that, Jimmy, since I know you got to get back to treating patients, what do you think the future of chiropractic's like? I mean, you're certainly at the cutting edge. You've seen a lot of changes. What do you think the future, let's say, sports chiropractic practice will be like? Not the pediatrics. I'm saying like your type of, what do you call it? Do you consider yourself a sports chiropractor?
I don't know what I consider myself. I just consider myself kind of like
besides a badass. That's
yeah.
the classification system I use for you.
I would just say that I'm a guy who's just trying to find solutions, and I don't know. That's really what it is. So whatever solution it is, and if it's not me, then I have to figure out how to find you to find the solution. I think it's hard for me to say what I think the future is, and I say this because, when I read the internet, I actually feel really bad for us. I mean, we look like such idiots in front of other people, and it's like this keyboard warrior mentality. It's like you realize there are people who are not in our profession looking at stuff that can look at stuff, and you do realize that what we're doing is absolutely just so beyond petty. I think that the future of sports chiropractic it could be so great. I really think it's so great. I recently taught a course with Michelle Desser, maybe a couple months ago, was at Palmer West Chiropractic College, and it was a bunch of students, and it was like, it's like people love chiropractic. They really do. They love it. We give them a reason why they don't like it, because inherently, folks who are they love getting adjusted. Kids running on the table. I mean, they really do. Maybe they have some fear in the beginning or whatever it may be, but when they get it, it's like, wow, that moment of like that, literally the lights turned on differently. And so people inherently really want to love chiropractic. And it's sort of, I think sports chiropractic, or if you want to, let's just call it that right now, the future is really, really bright as long as we don't extinguish the light and I think a lot of people in our profession talk about respecting people's differences until you have to respect other people's differences. And it's kind of disappointing when I see that stuff. I really think that we should just, if my message be, hey, dude, be kind to one another. We forget that the things that we don't agree with, somebody's used that and helped somebody possibly.
Yeah.
We may not know the why, that's different, but that's kind of why we got in this profession. Have some fun, help some people, maybe make a little difference in the world. Yeah. Before there was evidence for evidence-based care, it was all risky at that point, right? Yeah. Everything is risky. And the old adage of N equals 1, did you make a difference for that person? So I think it's really bright. I think that the knowledge and the cool part of it right now is that and you've just said it before, with the SFMA, when we teach it, we have PTs, ATCs, MDs, DOs, DCs, all taking this stuff together, and it's really becoming a lot more integrated. We're a lot, it's like, it's pretty cool. You meet these people. What does he do? I don't even know what he is. Is he a PT? I don't know. We just had fun, and smart guy. I mean, a lot of times, do we really even go to that level of we all done it? We walked. I don't know what he does. All I know is I don't know what his title is. Let me rephrase it. I just know that this is what we all think, and that's pretty cool. Like it's a very cool thing. Yeah, I love it. Well, Jimmy, thank you very much for your time this morning. I know that you have a long list of world famous clients to go attend to now, but they're all named John Smith, right? Our HIPAA compliant name. John or Joe or Jill. Yeah. The Smiths, they're excellent in sports. So, yeah. Well, I want to say thank you. Any last words of advice for our folks? Just have fun with things, guys. I mean, it's have fun and be kind of, it's kind of your profession. And just, I think folks forget you can also forgive yourself. Damn it, I didn't know. Okay. We're going to make mistakes. I think that's the most important thing along the way is the mistakes you make, because that emotional load is what anchors you in. Like, I mean, I will never treat somebody without assessment because I screwed so many people up doing it that way. Yeah. If you learn from your mistakes, it's just a detour to success. If you don't, then it's an ending. And it's that simple.
All right. Well, on behalf of Dr. Jimmy Yuan, this is Dr. Josh Satterley saying, go out there, maximize your license, and live the life you dream of. Thanks a lot, Jimmy.
You got it. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Clinic Gym Radio. If you're ready to double your profit without working longer hours, please visit clinicgymhybrid.com and find out how easy it is to get started on your path to freedom. That's clinicgymhybrid.com.